Okay guys, so this is a video I've been wanting to make for a while. What I want to cover in this video is how to install ElementaryOS into VirtualBox and then kind of take a look around to kind of get an idea of what ElementaryOS looks like, how it operates, that sort of thing. So I guess without a whole lot of rambling here, let's just go ahead and jump over to my desktop. But first, let's take a look at this. You may not know it, but I've got an Amazon shop. It's full of items that I've curated, whether I've purchased for myself or reviewed on the channel. So if you'd like to pick up something for yourself, but also help out the channel just a little bit without changing any of your shopping habits, check out the Amazon link in the description down below. Alright guys, so here we are on my desktop. Here is obviously the ElementaryOS website. I would encourage you to kind of look around there. There's different ways to get support, contribute to their project, whether it's through buying merch or contributing with a donation when you download. Definitely some cool things you can do to help them keep doing their thing. But for right now, for what I'm going to do, I'm just going to enter 0 here, and then I'll just click on download. It's going to give me a couple of different options, whether you want to download it or use another third-party program to download it. I've actually already done this, so I'm not going to worry about it, but just know there are a few ways to download ElementaryOS to your computer. So with that out of the way, the next thing to do, obviously, is to go over to VirtualBox and create a new virtual machine. So we'll click New here, and I'm going to call this Elementary. Oops. Like so, and then I'll come down here. I'm going to select Linux, and I'll go down a little further and select Ubuntu 64. This is an Ubuntu platform, so just know that when you're going in for virtualization purposes. So we'll click Next. I'm going to give it 4 gigs of 4 gigs of RAM. I've got 16 available. 4 should be fine. I could double that if I wanted to, but I'm not going to for right now. Next, we're going to create the virtual hard disk, and we'll go ahead and click Create. We're going to use the default there, and then we've got the option for a dynamically allocated size or a fixed size. I always use dynamically allocated, and if you want more information as to why, you can do some research on the difference between the two on Google or whatever, or you can pause the video here and read what this screen has to say. So I'm going to select dynamically allocating and click Next. And then I'll go ahead and say that I'm going to give it 50 gigs, click Create, and then we'll need to go in and change some of the settings here so that we can have the best experience for what we're doing. So we'll click Settings. We'll come down here to the System tab. There's nothing in general that we need to do there. But what I want to do is give it 4 processing cores. There we go. And I think that's all I need to do there. So under display, we'll jack that up to 128 megs. And then under graphics controller, we're going to select VBox VGA. And then just for the heck of it, we'll go ahead and enable 3D acceleration. Below that, storage is our next one. So we'll go ahead and select empty. And then we'll come over here and select elementary. The reason that's at the top is because I already started recording this and then realized I wasn't recording any audio. So this is actually my second go through this process just this morning. So with that out of the way there, we can skip audio. We can go to network and select bridged adapter so that we get an IP address from our router that's accessible across the network. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and then we'll click Start. And of course, this will take a couple of minutes to load up, that sort of thing. So we'll just hang out until we get to that main screen. Okay, so here we are on our desktop. It is still loading. If you're ever concerned that maybe this has stopped responding or something, if you come down to the bottom corner, you'll see some flickering icons. And as long as those are still flickering, things are still working. You'll just need to hang out for a couple of minutes while it does whatever it needs to do. So here in just a few minutes in the video, I should have listened to my own advice that I just gave right here. That'll come up later, but if those icons are flickering and still doing their things, don't do a forced shutdown on your Linux installer. Bad things might happen. Okay, so here we are on the install options. We can either try it just by running it like a live USB, which we're not going to do. We'll go ahead and click on Install here. And then we're going to select the keyboard layout that's pertinent to us. In this case, I'm going to use English US. That may be different for you, and go ahead and select that accordingly. And then click Continue. we're going to download updates. The download that I have, this ISO, is about a year old, so I'm sure there will be some updates. I'm going to let it do that while it's installing, and then also I'll have it install the third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi, and additional media formats. So I'll click continue. And I'm not going to worry about any of these additional like encryptions or the logical volume management or creating something custom. I'm just going to use the default setting here for installing. You may want to encrypt your hard drive if you're using this for production or something like that. But for the sake of simplicity and this being just something that I'll have to mess around with, I'm not going to worry about encryption. So I'll go ahead and click install. It's going to say, hey, these are the changes I'm going to make. That's fine. Go ahead. I'll click continue. So now it's asking, is this the right time zone for you? It is for me. Hopefully this will be correct for you when you get to this screen as well. If not, you can select manually where you'd like your time zone to be reflected. There we go. So I'll click continue there. So I'm going to call this elementary. And then I'll change that to just VB for VirtualBox. And of course, I'm using the weakest password I can possibly use, and I'm telling it to log me in automatically. I don't recommend either of those settings. Again, this is just something for me to mess around with. If you're going to be installing this on a production machine, use common sense and don't have it log you in automatically, and use a secure password. So here it's working on copying files over and doing the install process. If you want more information, you can toggle that down so you can kind of see what it's doing in the background. We're not going to worry about that for right now. I'm just going to kind of hang out and wait for this to complete. Okay, so now it says the installation is complete. You need to restart the computer in order to use the new installation. Go ahead and restart now. If everything works right, it will have unmounted the ISO automatically. So we'll go ahead and press enter and see what happens. All right, so it looks like we're on our desktop now, so that's good. We'll go ahead and give this just a second to settle in and make sure that everything is finished installing and doing its thing. For some reason I expect a big pop-up window here, but I could be wrong there. All right, so let's see, here we are. I guess it's not gonna do anything else, so go ahead and click applications and see kind of what comes with it by default. Screenshot, system settings, terminal, that's good. Videos, looks pretty basic. I do like the kind of clean aesthetic that it's got. Obviously looks very much like a Mac OS, and of course that was done deliberately. It would have been neat if they could have done something with some animations here, instead of just being going from a kind of a dim to a bright, maybe a rollover state or something that's kind of does like a wave or something. I would have expected, I guess, a bit more of that. There's, I think, what I was kind of looking for there. So still some more updates. We'll go ahead and click on update all there. And we'll type in our password. So we'll go ahead and let this do its thing, and then we'll come back and see, and just kind of see what's going on here. So as I'm looking at this, there's actually something that I really like here, and it's that they tell you what was changed, what was fixed, for each one of these, or maybe not all of them, but a good chunk of them have little descriptors here that tell what was fixed and why they did it. And I think that's great to kind of give you an idea of what to expect with that particular update if you're not sure and you don't want to do the research for yourself. All right, so this will be the one that'll take a while, it looks like. 551 components with updates under operating system updates. That may be a few minutes. So I guess while that's thinking, we'll just kind of hang out and come back when it's done. Okay, so it looks like all of the updates are done here. So it didn't take too long, probably 10 minutes or so. I wasn't really keeping track. Excuse me. So with all of that being said, I know I don't have to, but I'm going to go ahead and restart just because I'm a Windows user, and so I think I'm just going to do a restart just to make sure. And I know Linux is usually smarter than Windows, and you don't have to restart for updates and things like that, but just something I like to do just because. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Maybe. It's thinking. All right. Well, I guess I don't feel like waiting. Again, I'm only doing this because I'm never going to use it for production. So if I lose something, I'm not worried about it. So go ahead and click start. So you remember that bad decision I said I was going to make, and I wasn't going to listen to my own advice? That was it. That was shutting that down is what ended up causing me to take about 20 minutes to have to reinstall or update my kernel to get it fixed, because it wouldn't boot back in, because of course I was impatient and I just shut it down. So learn from my mistake. When you do an update, don't shut down until it's ready to do it. Okay, so here we are 20 minutes later because I got impatient and I did a forced shutdown and corrupted the kernel and had to reinstall the newest endpoint for that kernel to fix it. So we're back, everything seems to be working, and so let's go ahead and just take a look at some of the stuff that's in here. So let's just start at the bottom left here. Let's see what's under multitasking view. So it looks like that's going to be if you got multiple desktops set up. So that's kind of a cool thing that they've done there. Epiphany, I'm guessing, is a browser that I've never used. It sure is. Yeah, that was me messing with the kernel trying to get it to get it updated and fixed. So let's just do that. Make sure we've got a good internet connection here. Looks like we do. Glad to see that. Yeah, that looks about right. Cool. So internet works. Good stuff there. Of course, we've got email, calendar. Well, let's see here. Music, videos, pictures, system settings. I'm not going to go over any of this other stuff over here, like the email, calendar, music, photos. Those are just going to be the generic things that are built in that I will probably never end up using. So let's take a look at photos and see if it's just a folder. You can import. Okay, so it looks like it's more than a folder. It looks like it's actually kind of an application. So that's not so bad. Okay. What else do we have here? System settings. So looks like we've got. Oh, okay. So we can change our wallpaper. Let's do that. I really dig that. That's pretty slick the way that is. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So and then appearance. Animations, panel transparency, text size, the dock. Oops, let's drop that back there. Corners. So it looks like you can set these up to do different things. Maybe. Oops. Okay, so just some basic desktop settings there that I haven't quite got figured out yet, but we'll go ahead and keep digging around in here. Notifications. What kind of notifications do you want to get? How do you want them to look and sound? Looks like that's pretty standard stuff there. Or do not disturb. I like that. That's good for if you're trying to get stuff done. Oops. That's not what I meant to do at all. Close. All right, what else do we have here? Security and privacy. So keeping history on all of those things, you can turn that on and off. I really like that. If you want to keep your system more secure, you can disable history for a lot of this stuff. You can tell it when to lock, what firewall permissions you want. If you want the firewall, we can unlock that. And it looks like by unlocking that, we can enable or disable the firewall there. Housekeeping, deleting temporary files, that's good. Trash files, I actually really dig that. That's one thing that I think Windows could do a better job of, and that's deleting files, old temporary files, trash files on a regular basis. I like that they've got that incorporated into here. And location services, I'm going to turn that off. So what else do we have in here? Displays, keyboard, trackpad, printers, power. Let's see what's under power. Okay, so this is... got a sneeze in there. Hopefully it'll pass. So we can turn the display off after 15 minutes. What do you want to do with the power button? Suspend when idle after 30 minutes. Pretty standard stuff there. Printers, sound. So what sound device do you want to use? I like that's. I think this is actually way more intuitive than Windows as far as sound devices in both input and output. I like that they've got that. Network. This should just be for the wired network connection there. There's the IP address that it gave. I also like that we can disable that if we need to. We can create VPNs here, proxies. This is all very, very intuitive. I really like what they've done with that. Online accounts. These are actually pretty cool. I've seen this in Pop OS. They've got more options in Pop OS though for things like Google Mail, Google Calendar, things like that, so that it'll all integrate into your experience on here a lot more fluidly. So I would like to see more in here, but at least they've got a few different things there. Sharing. If I wanted to share these things, I don't, but you can set up sharing for those things. Parental control. No users to edit because I've only got the one user there, but there are parental controls that you can use. User accounts. Pretty standard stuff there. And then if we go over to the App Store, it looks like they've got this broken down into different categories. What's trending, things like that. I really dig this. This is great. Development. These are not all free. That's unfortunate. But I understand developers got to make their money somehow. So let's see. Wow, lots of stuff in here. Let's take a look at Fondo, so we can find wallpapers. I guess this is one of those things that I'd never really paid attention to or was even aware of because I've never done really much of anything with Elementary. I didn't realize so many of these apps are, anywhere from $1 to $10 for some of this stuff. Now, it looks like there are free non-curated apps. Looks like this is where all the free stuff is. But that's interesting. Like I said, I've never been in here. So let's open that. Okay. Oh, all right. So that's cool. New place to get wallpapers. I like that it's just integrated in the system so that once you select one, it just automatically downloads and applies that to your background. I really do like that. That's pretty cool. So let's see what else we've got here. I think really that is pretty much it. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. And that's the kernel update utility that I used to get back in here. So I think that pretty much covers everything. It seems to run smoothly and efficiently. No real complaints about any of that. All right, so now okay. So I'm just looking around there. So we'll click cancel. We'll close this out. Okay, so there was one little snafu in there, and basically I got impatient while it was trying to shut down after doing some updates. I should have waited longer, and then I just did a forced shutdown, which of course you're never supposed to do because it could be doing something in the background. As it turns out, it was. I ended up having to reinstall my kernel to get it reconfigured and fixed before I was able to get back in. Luckily, I was able to go into the advanced settings, select an older kernel to get in, and then from there, I was able to do the update and get back in on the newest kernel, or the newest version of the kernel I was using. So bit of a process, took about 20 minutes, and that included some research, trying to figure out what to do and how to fix it. Things ended up working out really well, though. We got back in, were able to kind of tinker around in there a little bit, get an idea of what kind of performance to expect. Obviously, I didn't do any like stress tests or anything like that. Again, this is a virtual environment, so doing stress tests in a virtual environment won't really give true accurate results. So I hope you enjoyed the video, taking kind of a look at ElementaryOS, learning how to install it into a virtual machine, that sort of thing. If you did, it'd be great if you guys could give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, if you're interested in content like this, product reviews, things like that, definitely hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when I release these new videos. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. As always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.